Good afternoon, chat. And welcome in, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My ears are ringing. My voice is shot. But we are here. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be. We get to play Final Fantasy Tactics. My favorite game ever. This is a sponsored stream. So thank you, Square Enix, for sponsoring today's stream of Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. Also, thank you for letting this game happen. There is a pinned comment in chat. Letting you know that Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, is available now. For every console. On every platform. Switch 2, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X or S, and on PC via Steam. There's also a, what do you call it? An affiliate link. If you feel like helping out old Saint Riot and you haven't ordered this game yet, use my affiliate link. Or just get the game. Seriously. I love this game. I'd be telling you to buy it even if this wasn't a sponsored stream. Is it on the Nintendo 64? No. No, it is not. Also, thank you all so much for the gift subs. Tarad, welcome back. Thank you so much for 94 months. Been playing 12 straight hours. I'm convinced AI-controlled Delita can only run headfirst into enemies and die immediately. I love it. Unpronounceable name, welcome back. Thank you for 51 months. Finny the cat, thank you for the bits. Thank you for the little money. Pecco, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Carlock, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Metal Bird, welcome back. Thank you for 71 months. Barnabas, thank you for the 5 gift subs. And CM Sinis, welcome back. Thank you for 3 years. Very much appreciated. Welcome in. Hope you're all doing well. It's a sponsored stream. So I'm gonna do like the sponsored stream, okay? And I'm basically just gonna like show you guys Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, this updated version that they've released. After this stream, I am going to be playing this game. I'm gonna be playing this game. We're gonna do a whole playthrough of it after the sponsored segment. For my personal playthrough, we are gonna do the new difficulty, Tactician. For this sponsored stream, we're gonna do the standard Knight difficulty. Also, Drannel, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. This is the enhanced version. Based on the original 1997 release of Final Fantasy Tactics, but features full voice acting, additions and adjustments to dialogue, and animated character portraits to provide a more immersive way to experience the story. It also boasts higher resolution graphics with an updated user interface, along with improved controls and optimized game balance, making it an ideal choice for returning players and newcomers alike. There's your controls. Let's go. There are lines on the edge of the screen. Sorry, I was looking at stuff before. sorry, that's on me. I wanted to see what was up with the thing. That's sound visualization. I turned that on. You don't have to have that on. I didn't know what that was. I was like, what is that? Now I know. It doesn't matter. I get to watch this again. It's fine. Sorry. I am, there we go. Yes. I've got to manage my, I've got some pinned messages. There we go. Also, thank you to the chatters. I gotta make sure that that thing works. That pinned message, that's gotta be on, you know?
Ivalice, a kingdom blessed by the light of the gods and ruled by the two-headed lion. A year after her defeat in the 50 Years' War, the king succumbed to malady, leaving a mere boy of 2 to ascend the throne. Whoever became the child's guardian would rule in truth.
Oh no! I didn't want that to happen! I was hoping I could pause it. The game's gonna kind of give us the rundown here. I haven't watched this yet, so I want to see it myself. I cannot begin. This music right here, this is like ingrained in my DNA at this point. Because when I would play Final Fantasy Tactics, you just leave it on a loop. You just leave the console running. It's like when you would have a sleepover and you would wake up and the DVD menu is playing and it's so much louder than every other part of the DVD. I remember, like, that's this. All right, I want to see the little, introductory cutscene that talks about. Oh yeah, we get the other one. Man, this rules. I think this is the one that shows off the job classes. Also, if you're like me and you've played this game, but you're, a Westerner, you never had the Japanese version of the game, there's some Japanese bonus content that was released that we never got. It was never like translated to English. They're little like side stories that, I can't think of the word right now. The little supplemental stories or whatever. Those are actually in the game now. Like, you can go to them and read them. I believe they're sort of like choose your own adventure books. Yeah. Also, my word, chat. Rat Servant, welcome back. Thanks for 8 months. Darrakul, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Leaf in the Wind, thank you for 51 months. Valkrina, thank you for the bits, and Busta Cappy, thank you for the gift sub. The Zodiac Brave story sounds sarcastic. This game has 2 mechanics in it that are like you have a unit, right? And your character will have a zodiac sign, obviously, because they have a birthday. There are mechanics that are associated with those zodiac signs. And then they also have a bravery score, which is represented as brave, and then they have a faith score, which is just called faith. There's so many cutscenes. Let's go. This is the job class one. God, this art looks fantastic. It's so good. Okay. I love my little noseless heroes. But let's go. I could sit here and watch this for the entire 3-hour stream if we wanted to, but I'm not going to. Let's play the game. So you've got 3 difficulty options now. You can change them at any time. If you're like, I don't know, maybe this will be hard and you want to start on easy mode. Let's say you get in there and you're like, okay, this is a little too easy. You can bump it up if you want. If you've played this game a billion times like I have, there's a hard mode, tactician. We're gonna do the we're gonna do this sponsored stream on the regular night difficulty, the sort of middle difficulty. After this stream, I'm gonna start a new playthrough and we're gonna do it on tactician.
I am Arazlam J.D. For the greater part of my life, I have been a student of Ivalice's middle age. You are familiar with the War of the Lions, no? It was a bitter war of succession that rent the land of Ivalice in two. Here we first find mention of Delita Hyrule, the hero who would draw the curtain on this dark act of our history. His is a tale of great renown, familiar to all who dwell within our land. But, as we well know, what the eye sees is oftentimes a mere fragment of the truth. There was another young man, Ramza Beowulf, the youngest son of House Beowulf, famed for producing leaders of men. There is no official record of the role he played on history's stage. However, according to the Jirai papers, which had long lain concealed in church archives, this forgotten young man was, in fact, the true hero. The church maintains he was a heretic of the highest order, an inciter of unrest, who blasphemed the gods and profaned the godly. Which of these two accounts is to be believed? Join me now in my search to uncover the answer, the truth.
So, this game takes place, the story takes place in the past. And we are essentially this narrator. And he has uncovered the history of this character, Ramza, who has been completely removed from history. The hero of the Lion War is Delita Hyrule, who became like the king. And everybody knows Delita. But we're going to be playing the game from Ramza's perspective, essentially as the narrator is uncovering this story and discerning like the real history of what happened during the Lions War. So you've got these menus that you can like open up at any point, you know, in between battles. You can open up these menus. You can go into the history books, essentially. And they have all the lore of all these characters, and they'll, you know, it's a nice way for you to remind yourself, like, wait, who was that guy again? Because there's a bunch of guys. And they are all lying and scheming. And so it's easy to get lost in all the lies that are happening. But you have this sort of like grounded book of history that will like remind you what you're dealing with and who you're talking to at any point as you want it. This is another thing. I never realized this. For as many times as I've played this game, I never realized that in the opening cutscene, this was Delita bringing a group of troops to the church. It just never like dawned on me. That is what you were seeing. And obviously, when I got this game, I turned it on, I'm playing it, I'm watching this cutscene, and I'm like, wow, this is great. I love the hand-drawn animation, all that stuff. It's fantastic. And so I'm actually like paying attention to it. And I'm like, oh, it's Delita, and they're headed to the church. And the reason Delita cuts off from the rest of the group is because of what's going to happen. If you've played the game, you know. Blame yourself or God. Delita's sneaking in around the back while the soldiers go to the front. How did I never pick up on that? How did I never catch that? I think Sherzay said that Delita has a helmet on in the original scene.
Oh, Father, abandon not your way with children of Ivalice.
Fake
but
fan.
Deliver us from our sins, that we might know salvation.
Lady Ovelia, it is time.
I'll not be much longer, Agrius.
Your escort has already arrived.
Please, heed the good lady's words, Highness. You must hurry.
There's
Still
our boy.
in here, are you? It's been the better part of an hour.
Gafgarian, you forget yourself, sir. You are in the presence of the princess.
Mayhap bowed heads would less offend. But you would do well to waste less time on idle pleasantries.
I see even the noble Order of the Northern Sky cannot rid itself of vulgar knaves.
A guard captain in these rain-sodden hinterlands ought not to expect chivalry. We are in the employ of the Order, not of it. Our pay does not cover trite courtesies to the likes of you.
Govern your tongue.
Enough. Let us be on our way.
The Father watch over you, child.
All right. So if you want to, during these like dialogue exposition scenes, you can press the square button and they'll just like keep the conversation flowing, which is great. Every game needs that. But you can obviously interrupt it, and if you want to, you can do it like this, where like you're the one pressing the button to make them go to the next line of dialogue. This is great for me, because it allows me to pause them and talk. Frozum, thank you for 37 months. Gendervive, welcome back. Thank you for 2 months, and thank you for the gift sub to Manganese Heptoxide. Enjoy your emotes. Thank you all. And thank you, everybody, for all the gift subs and everything else. Very much appreciate y'all. Thank you. So yeah, we have voice actors now, and I am really not a fan of a lot of voice acting in video games because it tends to be like over delivered by people who it feels like there's not a lot of direction for the actors, and everything sort of takes on like that like child's anime thing, and it drives me crazy. There are a lot of games that like I would love, but I just cannot deal with the voice acting. Tactics Ogre, when that got the Reborn, when that came out like 2 years ago, the voice acting in that was fantastic, and I was like, thank you, God. Final Fantasy Tactics, same thing. The voice acting is so good. Not only that, but the creator of Final Fantasy Tactics, the original Final Fantasy Tactics, Yasumi Matsuno, who directed and wrote the game, he came back for this and he rewrote the script so that it would be lines to be delivered by voice actors, as opposed to just voice actors reading lines from a video game. You know what I'm saying? and you like everything flows more natural, and you can actually like you can hear the motivation of the like if a character's lying, you can hear them lying, that type of thing. If they're being, you know, underhanded or sneaky, you can hear them be underhanded or sneaky. You don't have to like figure this out and put it together and hope that the voice act, like they just do. They know what they're reading because he wrote it for them to read, as opposed to them just reading what was wrote. It's a the sentence is not different, but it is a world of difference. Also, I just love the voice actors that they chose for this. They did such a good job. I love it. I love it. I feel like I was gonna say something else, but I can't. I don't even know what I was talking about.
And you, Elder.
Milady, the enemy is upon us.
Duke Goltana's men?
We are paid for this. Time to earn our keep.
Okay, this is what I was gonna say. So here we have Gafgarian and Ramza, who the prologue told us, like, history has totally erased this guy, this Ramza guy. He's been completely erased. He appears to be a mercenary, based off this dialogue. He and Gafgarian working for an order of knights, and they are in charge of talking to this, taking this Princess Ovelia somewhere. We're not sure where, but as we saw in the opening cutscene, a guy was bringing a group of knights to the castle, and yeah, here we are.
What is it, Ramza? You above getting paid to do a job?
I'm a knight no longer. Just another sellsword.
Right then. To battle.
Deliver us, O Lord.
Krytus, for this stream right here, I'm not going to be showing off a whole lot of like story. I'm just basically the opening and things like that.
They bear the crest of the Black Lion. Duke Goltana must be mad.
So this is our first mention of Duke Goltana, who is one of the lions in the Lion War. The other is Duke Larg, I believe, is the other lion in the Lion's War. I wanted to show you that cutscene earlier that sort of goes over the history of the Lion War. It gives you like an introduction to it. But essentially, the king of these lands is dead. He has died. He has a child that obviously, you know, should become king, but is too young to become king right now. And so whoever is in charge, whoever becomes like the charge of that child, will essentially be the ruler up until that child is old enough to rule themselves. And even by that point, it makes sense that the person who has, you know, been put in charge of that child would fill their head with, you know, you need to do things this way. This is how we're going to do things. And so you have these two, you know, Duke Larg and Duke Goltana. You have them go into war essentially over who's going to rule Ivalice during the course of this, you know, young noble's childhood. That's the sort of catalyst for the whole thing.
You there, wench. It is useless to resist. You will surrender the princess. If not, well, I would hate to see anything happen to that pretty face of yours.
A head on a saw? These swords of Goltana lack wits, one and all.
In that case, we should be able to handle this without you, Gafgarian.
Mayhap you could, but there's no money to be made in that. Lad, Ramza, with me.
His name is Lad, not Rad. Finally, we can say for sure.
Kill them all! Leave no man standing!
Also, if any of you all are like, you know, Elden Ring PvP stream watchers when I do invasions, I have builds for 3 of the characters I have a Kafkarian build, an Agrius build, and a Ramza build. I love this game, man.
You would have us slaughter them? Are you mad? Kill them here, and you'll have played into Duke Goltana's hands. We need only put them to rout.
I find dead men rout more easily.
It's time.
All right, so this is how battles work in this game. You know, everybody knows about like the history of turn-based RPGs, role-playing games. Everybody knows about like the turn-based whatever, you know. You've probably seen Final Fantasy or, you know, Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, etc. Final Fantasy Tactics, it's turn-based, but it's a little different because it's like an entire battlefield, right? I think Fire Emblem is similar. I've never played Fire Emblem for the reasons I mentioned earlier. The voice acting, I just can't get past it. Look, game looks great. The gameplay looks fantastic, but I just, you know, just not for me. However, if you've played Baldur's Gate 3, which who hasn't, here you know, this is not something that will be, you will catch on to this. This is pretty similar. So I love this. And this is a thing that I happen to know. Mr. Matsuno, when they first made this game, he made little dioramas for the battlegrounds. And so like they existed. These were like physical dioramas that existed somewhere, you know? And he did that so that you would have this ability here to like rotate your camera so that you could get a look at the battleground and you could move it where you wanted it to. That rules. Love that, obviously. There's also oh. Man, this rules. I'm just now figuring this out. I didn't mess with this earlier. We can go through like tile by tile and we can look at whatever. And what that means is we can click on an enemy unit, we can take a look at them, then we can hit triangle and it'll show us like what they're wearing, what items they have, and what abilities they have currently. So that we can like, you know, so this dude, he's an archer, right? So his main ability is aim. That's what archers do. His secondary ability is items. So his second job class is chemist. So he can use potions to heal his party, and he can use Phoenix Downs to revive unconscious party members. He can use antidotes to fix poison, things like that. If you're playing a full-blown chemist, those items, you can throw them across the battlefield. If you choose it as your secondary ability, as he's done here, you can only use those items. You can only use those items on tiles right next to you, right? You can't throw them anymore. You can only like just hand them out, basically. If you want, you can get another ability that will allow you to continue to throw the item. But that would be a separate ability that we would see down here, where it says evasive stance. That's a squire's ability. That's an ability you get from the squire job class. I believe it's called throw item. And, you know, you can still do it if you want, but it's going to cost you job points. You're going to have to buy that ability in order to do it. Oh, man. Yeah, so you've got move, abilities, and weight. We can move Ramza around here. We see all the blue tiles. This is where he can go, right? And this is a fun thing. If you played the original game, this is something new. If we click on a unit, it will show us where they can go. It will show us what their movement looks like. Which is, if you wanted to do this in the original Final Fantasy Tactics, you had to like go into a bunch of different menus to figure out, and now you scroll over and it shows you. Boom, done. I love it. All of this stuff is excellent additions. Also on the left side of the screen, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy Tactics, all of this stuff is new. The game is showing you in what order this battle is going to take place. And that means if you're going to use an ability that takes an amount of time to do, like cast a spell or charge up a shot from an archer, those things take turns. Like, you have to wait for that to charge before it happens. And in the original Final Fantasy Tactics, the only way to figure out if you were going to get that off before they moved was to, again, go into a bunch of menus and see. But now it's on the screen. You can just see it. Makes it much easier to read, makes it much more simple. Anyway, we're gonna move Rams over here, and we're gonna smash this dude in the head. Actually, yeah, all right. So we can attack this guy. Anybody can do that. Anybody can attack. Doesn't matter what your job class is. Anybody can do that. If we select Weslif here, we'll see that we have a 90% chance to hit. And this is where the Zodiac stuff comes in. He will take 100% of our damage because of our Zodiac signs. No extra compatibility. Like my Ramza is a Leo. He over here, I believe that's Sagittarius. I don't remember. But anyway, certain Zodiac signs have extra compatibility with each other, which means they take more damage from each other, or they take less damage from each other. Their spells will do more when they hit each other. Things like that. That is like, you can make it through this whole game and never use that. It's not one of those things that is mandatory. Not mandatory at all. But when you know how to use it and when you know how to abuse it, you can make some things, you can really give some spells some oomph. So the other thing we can just straight up attack, which is what we're doing right now, right? But Ramza is a squire. That's his job class right now. So the squire job abilities are metal. And he's got rush, throw stone, salve, and chant. Chant, you give up some of your hit points, like you give up like 14 hit points, and you would give your party member 28 hit points. Salve cures poison, blindness, and silence. Throw stone, you literally throw a stone. And then you have rush. Rush is nice because it's more likely to hit. So this has a 90% chance to hit, which is pretty good, right? But if we were to rush, it's 100%. It's a 100% chance to hit. However, the damage is not necessarily, like, it can change. Like, you're rolling dice for that damage, basically. You might do less than it says, you might do more than it says. But it's a guaranteed hit.
How about you?
Once your turn is finished, once you've done your movement, you can select in which direction you want your character to look. And the reason that this is a thing is because attacks face to face with you, you will have a greater chance to evade, block, or parry. Attacks that come from behind you, you have a lower chance to evade or defend. Those are more likely to hit you. And so the game is telling you, like, hey, which direction do you want this character looking now that his turn's over? In this situation, like, there's nowhere I can look unless my teammates really decide to help me out and like come gather around me. There's not much I can do. Like, these dudes can surround me, so we just kind of have to hope for the best. Because, as you can see on the left side, all of these other characters are gonna play automatically. It's not up to me. I'm essentially a guest in their party right now, and so yeah, it's up to them what they do. I don't get to pick any of this. Also, Hollow Mushroom, thank you for 13 months.
My fate is sealed.
Come then.
What?
I am ready.
He's got a 58% chance to hit, and so she parried with her shield. But he would have done 125% damage because of their zodiac symbols. %81 chance to hit, but again, 125% chance. I'm sorry, 125% extra, you know, the damage because of the zodiac compatibility. Gafgarian, 100% chance to hit, 100%.
Will unencumbered.
Let's go.
By darkness empowered.
Yes.
Shadow blade. Farewell.
And how?
I'm so glad that he did that. In the original Final Fantasy Tactics, when you would cast a spell or use certain abilities from a class, the characters would have these little comic book dialogue bubbles pop up, and they would chant, or you know, they would spout off, you know, about this ability or about this spell. They've kept that, but now there's voice lines for it, and it's not a thing that happens every time. It'll only happen every once in a while, but every time it happens, man, I love it.
My turn.
So, like, I could try and hit this guy right in front of me here. We'd have a 70% chance to hit, and we would only do 75% of our damage because of the zodiac sign stuff, right? Now, there's a corpse. I can't stand on that corpse. You know, I would have a better chance to hit him if I was right here, but I can't stand on that corpse. Also, Agrius is here. I could maybe go down here, but the problem with that is, if you look on the right, on the top right, you'll see the height. That is 7.5 units. He's standing at 11 units. There's no way my attack can reach there. If you would like to know if your attack can reach there, you can go into the menu and it will show you, like, this is how high up your attack can reach. Different things can reach different heights. Obviously, spells are sort of, they're less encumbered by height. And having that high ground advantage makes archers more likely to hit, and I believe it also affects spells as well. But since we can't really do anything with this guy, I mean, we could try. And like I said, we could still use the tackle if we wanted to. And again, this would, you know, there's a 100% chance that this hits, right? So we could do that. Or if we wanted to, we could move over here to the archer. We're to his side, we're kind of flanking him, right? So we've got a 100% chance to hit. We're gonna do 100% of our damage because our Zodiac compatibility. We're gonna do 42 damage, that's guaranteed. That's gonna KO him, that's gonna knock him out. This is a thing that drove me crazy in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me reset my move, for the love of God. Why did Final Fantasy Tactics know to do that? And Baldur's Gate 3 didn't. If I misclick on a square or a tile and that's not where I wanted to stand, oh my God, let me fix it. So now, I'm gonna keep my back to this unconscious dude because he's not gonna be able to, you know, this guy can't hit me. So like, I can leave my back exposed to him. That's at least not exposing my back to the knight who, you know, might actually like, absolutely wreck me, right? Now, this dude here is an archer next to me, and I know that. So he can basically get to my back any way he wants to. Unless, of course, I leave it right here. You know what I'm saying? So this is fine. This is where we'll hang out at.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna matter. I think Agrius is probably gonna, yeah.
This fleeting life, cling to it not. Embrace inevitable end. Judgment Blade, fall!
A bitter defeat.
%87% chance to hit. Oh, he got a crit!
Leave it to
The
me.
little extra shake on the camera.
Fall!
Get him, Alicia. Hit him back.
Unhand me!
No! Lady Ovelia!
This way. Hurry up. And try making a little less noise.
I'll not take orders from you!
You've quite a mouth on you, Princess.
Hold there!
I think not. If you feel wronged, blame yourself or the father.
This cannot be.
Delita. He lives. But why does he serve under the banner of Duke Goltana?
All right. So, after this battle, we are sort of going to take like a jump back in terms of like the timeline. Also, Chops, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome back. Thank you for 26 months. We're going to take a little jump back, right? The game is split up into chapters, and I think right now we're kind of in, I think this is chapter, like what's happening in this moment. We'll come back to this, I think, in chapter 2. At the very start of chapter 2, I believe we're going to start here. But the game is going to, so Ramza, the guy that we're playing as, and as the narrator said, this dude who had been like erased from history, who didn't exist for, ever. This historian has found all of this documentation about this guy, Ramza, and he, as he's reading it and learning about it, he's sort of like piecing it together, what actually happened during the Lion War. But our character, Ramza, seems to recognize that other character as Delita, and not only does Ramza recognize him, but he also is surprised to see that Delita is alive.
I do not understand.
The story in this game is phenomenal. There's a million moving parts to it.
Records of the hero Delita Hyrule
first appear 1 year before the outbreak of the War of the Lions.
The narrator's
The
voice
loss
shifting
of the 50 Years' War saw Ivalice
to a
paying
younger
enormous
voice there.
reparations
I love
and
that.
ceding vast swathes of land to Ordalia, the victors. Knights and sellswords returned from the front to find their homes razed and loved ones slain. Compounding their woes, they were denied pay for their service and stripped of their livelihoods. This ill treatment led many to abandon their fealty to the crown and the nobility. Once loyal soldiers became rogues and traitors, donning the thief's cloak and plotting treason. It was a time of great unrest for Ivalice. Murder and theft were commonplace. Many were the young adventurer and mage who stepped forward to counter this threat. Of these, the city of Garland too saw its share. It was there that our tale began, a year earlier.
The Royal Military Academy at Garland.
Did you hear? Another Wayne was struck last night on its way to Egros.
The Corpse Brigade again.
'Tis long past the hour for drills. What is happening, I wonder? Delita, what do you suppose this is about?
I could hazard a guess.
All right. So here we have Ramza and Delita hanging out at this military academy together. Obviously, they're younger now. Like I said, we've sort of jumped back. But essentially, the setting here is there has been this long, drawn-out war where neither side has come out as victorious as they would like. And as a result, all of the money has been spent, all of the kingdom's money has been spent on this war. And so you have these soldiers returning, and they're like, okay, this war is crazy. Everybody's dying, it's terrible, it's awful. I think there's also a plague going on around this time. I think they'll get into that a little later. But these soldiers come home, and their kingdom's like, oh yeah, sorry, can't pay you, bud. And so the knights and the mercenaries, they're broke. They come home from the war, and now they're broke, and their kingdom is not paying them for services rendered. And so a lot of them have turned to banditry. They're like robbing people and, you know, doing whatever, right? Because they need money. They're broke. They have nothing. And they just came back fighting the nobles' war, you know, and now they're not being taken care of. And, you know, it's fantasy, chat. It's a fantasy game. It's not like something like that would really happen in real life, you know?
Oh? Do tell.
I think Duke Larg is coming to Garreland.
Duke Larg? Why?
Not just the Duke. The Marquis Elmdor de Limbri, too.
That's the first I've heard of it. This has not the sound of a state visit.
All of Ivalice is in turmoil. The Order's supposed to be keeping things under control, but the fact is, they number too few.
I got people in Twitch chat and people in YouTube chat both doing the little money. In the original Final Fantasy Tactics, obviously, the idea of like translation and localization, you know, this thing had typos in it, and there was no localization really, you know, like there was a translation. So it would go from Japanese to English, but there wasn't really much in the way of localization in the original game. Which essentially means if there's a Japanese expression or turn of phrase or, you know, like a cliche or something that a character says or uses, there might, you know, those words might not mean what they say. Same for, like, you know, in English we have those. In English we have like turns of phrase where you say words, but the words don't actually mean what they typically do. It's just an expression, right? That means another thing. But when you translate it, you just 100% translate it. You just say the thing. You just say the words. And so sometimes they don't work out right. Also, there's typos and little weird, you know, hiccups here and there in the original game. One of those weird hiccups is the soldiers coming home and the kingdom having little money. Little money. Didn't have a lot of money. But for some reason they write it out as L space I space T space T space L space E space M space O space N space E space Y. And it takes forever for it to type it out. So little money.
And they mean to bolster their numbers with us.
All right, everybody, fall in. The Order of the Northern Sky has an assignment for its Knight's Apprentice. As I'm sure you're already aware, the number of brigands roaming Galleon is on the rise. Among them, the Corpse Brigade, a seditious lot with a grudge against the very crown they had served. Rogues such as they must be dealt with. The Order has been commanded to undertake an operation to eliminate the brigade. An operation of a grand scale. We will not be acting alone. The Order will be joined by, among others, His Excellency Duke Larg's Royal Guard. This will leave Igro's castle undermanned. Your task will be to proceed there and support us from the rear by bolstering its defenses.
That's right, Fafnir. The Hokotan and the Nantan. Like, what is that? that was the Order of the Southern and Northern Sky. But for some reason in America, we had the Hokuton and the Nanten. I don't speak Japanese, but Mr. Matsuno is on Twitter, and like several years ago, he had like this entire like, and it was his tweet was in Japanese. So I am relying on auto translate to tell me what he's saying. What he was saying in Japanese was that Hokuton and Nanten were like these nonsense things, that it was supposed to be Order of the Northern Sky and Order of the Southern Sky, you know, whatever. But even Twitter's auto-translate was translating it to Hokuton and Nanten. As Landre, welcome back. Thank you for 14 months. I know that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. It's essentially something for us to gripe about as old people who played the original Final Fantasy Tactics. And one of, you know, the fact that we have this now, like this actual translation, localization, they've actually taken, you know, they have more resources to put forward with that sort of thing, and to make sure that this story, which is so good and such a huge, huge part of why this game is so beloved, it's now more clear. Everything is like expressly, stated and put out there for you, as well as all of the supplementary stuff that you can read in, the little books and what have you. In the lore, in the menus, if you want to see like, hey, what's up with what's up with Egros Castle, you can go read about Egros Castle and it'll tell you like all kinds of stuff about it. Like there's the lore of Egros Castle. There's like an entire menu for all this stuff. It's great.
Remember, you represent the Academy itself. Noble or otherwise, your actions reflect upon us all. Fight with honor and trust in your steel.
As Landre, welcome back. Thanks for 14 months. It is the best game ever.
The time to take up arms is already upon you, young apprentices.
Never played the original, so thanks for explaining the lore. Yeah, like, and what's awesome is like we're playing this enhanced version of the game, but Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, like it comes with the OG game. It's the all the dialogue's been fixed. But if you want to just play like the OG game and you want to see like what those menus looked like and like what those character interactions were like, because some of them will, you know, have been a little different or whatever, like they have that. You can just play that version if you like, which is great, because so much of like when we want these games preserved, we want them preserved. You know, it's not necessarily like, it's not that every game needs to have like these enhanced versions and everything, right? This game, yes. But there's a lot of games out there that weren't this big milestone moment, but like that game should still exist. It still deserves to be around. You know, people should still be able to play it on modern hardware. And that's like, you know, that's a big part of this, is like the preservation. And I love that this game is like, okay, for those of you who want the preservation, here it is. You can play the original game. And for those of you who want this enhanced version, here it is. You can play the game. It's all in the same game. That is the perfect way to do it, in my opinion. Like being able to just like, okay, I want to see the original game how it was. But you know, like maybe you also want to see this new enhanced version with the voice acting, with the updated user interface, etc. It's all one package. It's all in one package. That's the way it should be done. I love that.
I've just received word that a band of thieves, routed by our knights, flees here to Garreland, where the bustling streets will only aid their escape. We will move to stop them and finish the task of our brothers. You, young apprentices, will accompany us. This is but a squall before the storm of battle. Prepare yourselves at once. Dismissed.
Kiwi, thank you so much for those 5 gift subs. Very much appreciated. Yeah, Mr. E, I think Final Fantasy VIII kind of gets like... Final Fantasy VIII gets a rough break because it came out after 7. And 7 was a lot of people's first Final Fantasy game. And let's just, you know, people wanted more Final Fantasy VII. And it's like, that's not how Final Fantasy works, you know? Every game is like its own different thing. And so I think Final Fantasy VIII kind of hit like I think now more people understand what Final Fantasy VIII is and accept it for what it is. And like Final Fantasy VIII has its, you know, like it's got its fans for sure, especially now. But I think at the time, and so if you're talking to somebody who's older like that, like me, if you're talking to an old man, you know, some old people have like, yeah, Final Fantasy VIII, yeah, I didn't like it, and I like that old Cloud and Barrett, you know. So the game's going over guest units here, and basically guest units are units that I will not be able to control, but in story battles, they have to be there. And the game is just letting me know, like, hey, you can't control these dudes, but they're here. You can, you know, you can still, like, you can give them gear so that, you know, you can get them better armor and a better weapon or whatever. You can buy them new abilities from their job class. You can spend their job points for them so that they have more abilities to use and more things to try and stuff. But in terms of like you actively being the one that moves them around, that's not going to happen. All right, so this is our world map, and this is where most of the game sort of takes place. Everything happens here. In between battles and story beats and, you know, things like that, this is what we're going to be looking at. And, you know, this is Ivalice. And we will fill this map out as we go to these different places, and you know, we check out all this different stuff. But, you know, start of the game, keeping it simple. We're here at the Military Academy of Garland. We need to go to the city of Garland to try and track down some bandits called the Corpse Brigade. Again, these are former soldiers that just didn't get paid for going off and fighting a war. And now they're waylaying merchant wagons out on the road and stealing money because they're broke. This is a new thing. When you're on a place, it'll tell you like, okay, you're at the Royal Military Academy of Garland. The game always did that. But now it tells you, boasting 700 years of history, many students graduate from this prestigious institution with aspirations to become great leaders. And from here, we can go to the main menu. We can save the game. You do want to do that. The game does autosave, I think, but let's save, right? Let's do that. As someone who played this game as a child, it's important to save. Always be saving. Oh, I love it. The game won't let me do it yet because it's, you know, the game's trying to ease you into all of this, like learning how to navigate menus in order to do stuff. But so for right now, all we can do is head to the Magic City of Garland, home to the Royal Academy for the Magical Arts, famous for producing Ivalice, mage hero of the 50 Years' War. This is also a new thing, and it's a great addition, in my opinion. In the original game, you didn't get to see this when you were placing your units down. The game would just show you a piece of land, like off in the void, and you would just place units on it. With this version of the game, you can actually see where you're placing the unit, where they are going to be. So we're gonna move Rams over here. This is where he's gonna start. And then we'll put, oh, wait, so whenever you gain characters for your army, you know, you can take a look and you can see This character has Ivalice. She has 66 brave and 72 faith. That's pretty good. This one has 70 brave and 61 faith. Also pretty good. 67 brave, 57 faith. The bravery's decent. 56 and 67, 62 and 45, 54 and 49. I've got 70, okay? And I'm the main character, just to kind of give you an idea of like, you know, what we're looking at here. So Anselm here, I'm not, this dude's a bum. We're not using this guy. 72 faith is pretty good. She would make a good mage. And 66 brave is, you know, that's nothing to scoff at.
Understood.
So we'll put her over here. We'll have her hanging out with Ramza. Who else was pretty good? 70 and 61, that's nice. She's a squire, so she's sort of like a front line, you know, melee battle class.
Wise choice.
So we'll put her here. 67 faith is all right. Old Thomas.
I cannot wait.
We'll put Thomas here. And 67 brave. That's our best. Baderick. We'll put her here as well.
We shall not lose.
It's time.
What have we here? Little moppets, is it? Our luck's turned for the better.
No, Rad.
All right, lads.
We
Cut
had
through these and we're as good as fled.
We had Rad at the
Make quick work of them.
during the opening
Don't
battle.
be leaving those squealers behind.
He's Lad. Rad the Lad. So that's Delita. He's moving on his own. He's just gonna pick his own stuff. And these are the enemies, so obviously they're gonna do their own thing. But yeah,
Careful, Ramza. Remember, the well-aimed thrust pierces the mail.
he'll join us when we get back to that point in the story where we were at with Gafgarian and everything. But for right now, we don't know that. You know, that's in the future. We're back in the past now. This is all sort of Ramza, you know, you're seeing this from Ramza's perspective. Like, who was this guy who just kidnapped Ovelia? Ramza seems to know who he was. Not only did he know who he was, but he was surprised to see him alive. We're gonna get that story now. And that's chapter 1. And then chapter 2 is gonna put us back where we were at the very start of the game during that first battle with Gafgarian and Agrius and Ramza and Alicia and Lad.
Don't patronize me, Delita. We Beowulfs know our way around the battlefield.
Beowulf, was it? Heir to the noble house, Beowulf, I'd wager. Looks like we have ourselves some apprentices from the academy. Well, highborn moppets are still moppets.
Lay down your arms or die clutching them. None will mourn your passing.
Is that right? You're in far over your little heads.
It's time.
My internet service provider being an absolute jerk. Of all the times to be a jerk. I'm still used to pressing R1 and L1 in order to like navigate the map, make it like move around. You use the analog sticks for that now. So I keep pressing L1, which is this. It'll show you like everybody's health bars, and it will show you their turn order, in what order, you know, those characters move. If you press it again, it will bring up their names even. Oh, and now that we're out of the first battle, we have access to tactical view. And if you've played Tactics Ogre, this is a view that you will be familiar with. So a lot of the time when you're in these battles, you'll have things like this where like this building is kind of in the way of this camera angle, right? And you're like, well, I really want to be able to see over here. And so now you can activate this tactical view, and it, you know, you have like just the bird's eye view line of sight, which is great. We went over this already, the expected outcome. I've already told you guys that. But essentially, you can see here, a 100% chance to hit, and we're going to do 100% of our damage. So we're going to do 20 damage to Edmund here. After you do anything, you get job points and you get experience points. Experience points levels a unit up. Job points gives them points in their current job. Easy, right? You spend job points in the menu and you can learn new abilities like Rush, Throw Stone, Salve, all those that we looked at earlier. Those are skills that you can buy with job points from the Squire job. When you're playing as a Squire, your points are in, the job points that you get are in Squire, right? However, I think it's like 10%, I might be wrong. Everyone in the battle will get a percentage of the job points in that job class. So I'm a Squire, Rams is a Squire, but I just gave a percentage of the job points that I earned. The chemists just got a percentage of that, right? So now they have some job points that they can spend in Squire because they're hanging out with Squires, they're spending time with Squires, they're learning what Squires do. And so they sort of accumulate, to a lesser degree, the job points of the class that they are in a battle with. So, later in the game, when you've got a monk and a thief and an archer and a black mage, everybody's getting some of those job points in those job classes just for being on the battleground with those classes. So, chemists, like I said earlier, they basically just like watch out for everybody, keep them healed, keep them conscious, and keep them healthy.
I'm in your debt.
Oh, this is it. She has a 0% chance to hit this guy with a rock. What she might do is accidentally hit Ramza. So it's important to, you know, when you're looking at like the expected outcome, it's important to note 0% chance will not hit. Don't even try.
Now is the time.
%95 chance to hit. And if she hits, she's gonna do 150% damage because of their Zodiac compatibility. Oh, and she knocked him back she knocked him back a tile.
How do you fare? Thanks a lot.
Leave it to me.
Nearly finished me.
Oh, these boys are getting down and dirty.
Ready.
I don't think she can hit Delita with a potion from there. Yeah, she can't. That angle is no good.
Here I go!
We can smack him in the head with a rock, though.
Die! This can't be happening.
Now that he's unconscious, we can walk over him. He essentially no longer functions as like something that we cannot pass through, right? While he was conscious and standing there, he defends that square, meaning like you can't walk past him. He's your enemy. You can't just walk through that guy. Now that he's unconscious, we can. Now, I've only got 4 potions, so like, you know, I can't be like throwing them out all willy-nilly. You can buy potions in between battles as you walk through the world map. Some of the places that you walk in they'll have towns, and you can go into the town, and you can buy potions and antidotes and new weapons and things like that. But
you needn't worry.
Potions aren't just some, oh yeah, you always have them, they're free, you know, that's not the case.
My turn.
Ooh, we're gonna do 150% damage. We're expected to do 28 damage here.
I have you now! Ah!
Nice. Are items shared among everyone? Yeah, items are like you just own what you own. Chemists can just use items, but you have to like train them to use the item. So potions is something that I think you pretty much just start off. It's either very inexpensive, but these characters have already purchased it basically. You have to spend job points to be able to use different items. So there's potions, right? And then there's high potions, which heal you more. And then there's X potions, which heal you, I think all the way to, no, I don't think they do in tactics. But you've got potion, high potion, and then X potion. You have to like spend the job points in order for them to learn that ability, to be able to use that item. But a lot of those items, like X potions, you're not going to be able to buy those until later in the game. Like, that's not something, you know, I think they heal like 150, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that. But anyway, you're not going to have access to buying those until later on. You can find them out in the battlefield. So chemists have an ability that they can learn. Every class has this, okay? You have their abilities that you can spend your job points to earn, and these are things that, like, that's their job. That's what they, when you select them to act, this is what their job action is. Then they have a reaction ability, and this is, if I get hit, do this. The likelihood of this occurring is based on the character's bravery. So the more bravery you have, the more likely you are to use your reaction. The chemist's reaction is auto potion. So if you hit a chemist, they'll use a potion on themselves automatically. Let's say you have 0 potions in your inventory, but you do have a high potion. They'll use the high potion for the auto potion. Let's say you have neither. Let's say you have only X potions in your inventory. They'll use the X potion for their auto potion. So let's say they get hit for 20 damage. They'll heal themselves for 300. So you have to be careful about, you know, how you use that. Then you have a support ability. This is where the chemist can learn throw items. The chemist can already throw items. But let's say you want to make this chemist a mage. And let's say you want their second ability to be items. You can do that, but they're not going to be able to throw the items. They can only use items in a, you know, to the tiles directly in front, behind, and to their left and right. However, if you buy throw items and you equip it on them, they can go back to throwing the items, even if they're a mage or a monk or a knight, whatever. Doesn't matter what their job class is, they can still throw items. And then you have movement abilities. And the chemist movement ability is treasure hunter. And what that does is they have a chance to find an item on a tile as they're just walking around on the battlefield. And they might find a potion or a high potion or an X potion or an elixir. This ability is tied to your faith stat, I believe. It's, no, maybe I'm wrong. It's tied to 1, but it works opposite. You want a lower score. The lower the score is, I think it's bravery now that I'm saying that. The lower the score, the more likely they are to find a good item. So when you move on a tile and you pick something up, it can be like one of 3 things. And then the lower your bravery is, the more likely you are to find the good item, right? So like, this comes in later on, there's like optional dungeons where you're like walking around and you'll walk on a tile and it's like you'll pick up a potion. If you had really low bravery and you walked over that tile, you might have picked up like the god sword. It's that, like, it's that deep. You know what I mean? So like you have to be careful about who you give treasure hunter and where you keep their bravery score at. There are ways to raise and lower characters' braveries and faith permanently, but that's for much later on. That's stuff we can get into way later.
Ready.
Down with you! Confound it.
I'll take care of this.
So again, we don't want to attack face to face. We want to be to the side.
Right.
Now, because these people are like up here, it's hard for me to get to them. I can't just like hop up there. Certain classes can, and certain abilities would allow you to hit up here. Like throw stone could hit up here, for example. But if I wanted to actually get the character up there, I would have to like walk, right? Certain job classes have a higher jump score, however, and they can just straight up jump to those locations. I believe monks and ninjas and I think the dragoon gets an ability to just completely ignore height. There's boots that you can equip on a character that gives them a higher jump score so that they can jump up to those higher locations like that. As I mentioned earlier, like when this guy was conscious, he defended this square, meaning we couldn't walk through him, right? Now that he's unconscious, we can walk through it. Your party members will just let you pass through a square. So like, if I want, like I can move him here, and on my next turn, let's say this chemist is still standing right here. Ramza can just walk around him. Like they can occupy a square together for a second, you know? You can't end on the same square, but like, he can move through him. But we'll go this way. We'll take the back road here. Okay, did you see how I threw the stone and it moved him over a tile? That's not guaranteed to happen, but it can happen. And then, if you throw a stone and like where he's standing now, if I had thrown that stone and it knocked him off the house, he would take fall damage as well. That can also happen on a critical hit. You can hit someone and if you roll a crit, it will move them back one tile, and if it knocks them off of like a house or something like that, they take fall damage on top of the actual damage.
Never a doubt.
Ready.
So you'll see when Thomas walks by Ivalice here, they'll kind of like share a tile for a moment. You can do that with teammates. You can't do it with enemies.
Leave it to me.
It's time. This isn't funny.
No escape!
All right, the other thing that we should touch on is during the battle, you see how my enemies, they're laying here with hearts. You have 3 hearts because you have 3 turns to be unconscious. And if after 3 turns you haven't been revived, you die. You die for good, you die forever. This includes your party members. They will die forever. They're gone, you can't get them back. If they're on the battlefield and you use the Phoenix down, they get up, you're good to go. Let's say they're down and you win the battle while they're down. That's fine. They're healed after the battle. They're okay there. If the character loses all their hearts, and they lose hearts when it comes to their turn, they should act, but they can't because they're unconscious. After 3 turns of that, they die, and they'll turn into a crystal or they'll turn into a treasure chest. If they turn into a treasure chest, you get some of the equipment that they have, and you can take it. If they turn into a crystal, some of the job abilities that they have learned will manifest in that crystal, and whatever character picks up that crystal will learn all of those job abilities. Alternatively, you can use the crystal to completely refill your hit points and your mana. So, Edmund here is 1 turn away from turning into a crystal and just being gone forever. Dude, Baederic has a cannon for an arm. Every time she throws a stone, it knocks somebody back.
Allow me to
felt
aid.
better. What's next?
Sorry about that.
So that's a level increase, and that happens regardless of what your job is. So Thomas's level just went up. Thomas is now level 2. They get extra hit points, extra mana, and then the rate at which the various attributes grow depends on a unit's job at the time of gaining that level. So like, if you are a mage, maybe you don't get a lot of hit points every level, but you get a lot of mana every level. You don't get a lot of HP, but you get a lot of MP. And if you're a knight, the inverse is you don't get a lot of MP, but you do get a lot of HP. Stuff like that.
I won't stop now.
And Thomas also gained a job level. Each job has its own level. I believe it maxes out at 8. I believe that's like the max job level. You can still be that job, even if you're level 8, but like you won't gain any more, like that's as high as that level goes. You still gain job points, you can still buy the abilities, nothing changes. I think 8 is the maximum job level for jobs. But what job levels do is they branch out the path for you to learn new jobs. So like in order to become a mage, you have to be like a level 2 chemist or something like that. And, you know, okay, now you're playing a black mage. Well, if you are a level 4 black mage, maybe you can become a time mage, things like that. So that's what job levels are for. They unlock new jobs for you to get. And so if you have a character and you're like, okay, I want this character to become a samurai, you know, you would have to unlock, you know, you would have to level up the jobs necessary to become a samurai. Once you unlock a job class, because the game's not going to tell you that it exists until you unlock it. Once you unlock it, you can go to that job class in the menu, and it'll say like, okay, this is you need 4 levels of knight, and you need 2 levels of archer in order to become this thing, or you need 4 levels of monk, and you know you need a level of squire or whatever. Like every job has like the later jobs have different requirements that must be met. Once you unlock the job, it will tell you like, hey, here's how you unlocked this job, and if you want another character to be able to get this job, this is what they need to do.
A step forward. Doesn't look good.
Me then.
Right.
Now, Ramza's gonna jump from this building to the other building. And there's only one tile between here, so he only has to be able to jump the one tile. And the height doesn't matter because he's jumping from the same height, right? He's jumping from 7, landing on 7. So he only has to be able to jump this one tile, right? But like, let's say for a moment that there were like 2 tiles in between this building and that building. Ramza probably wouldn't be able to make that jump unless he was wearing like special shoes or had a different job ability or job class.
It's over! Heaven's calling me. It's over!
I love how much they chitter chatter on the battlefield.
Persist in such folly. Honest work would see them die old in bed. Yet they choose instead this early grave.
So, spoils of war. We got 500 gil, which is gold. A bonus 2,000 gil. We found a mithril knife. We found a phoenix down. We found a potion. And the game tells you who your best unit was. And it was Ramza, because of course it was.
Barbeneth Beowulf, a great hero who had attained the distinguished title of Knight Gallant, approached the hour of his death.
Hey, that's our last name. The Beowulf Mance in the waning days of the 50 Years' War.
What news of the war?
So, this is Ramza's dad. And he is surrounded by Ramza's brothers and Ramza's sister.
The Order has struck a great blow. Limbri is ours once more. 'Tis but a matter of time ere the Ordalians withdraw from Seltenia. All goes as planned, Lord Father. Be not troubled.
The envoy dispatched to treat with Advocate Lenario returned this night past. He has agreed to your proposal, Lord Father.
Chat, take a shot every time Ben Starr plays a role in a fantasy game as an older brother.
Good. Very good. Then the war will die with me.
I'm sorry, Loyo. Let me answer your question. When I click on the link, do I have to put your name in or something? No. When you click on the link, they are tracking where you got that link, and that's why my name is on the link. So all you gotta do is that. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody earlier asked, like, did they have to buy the game on a specific platform? If you scroll all the way to the bottom of that link, it should have, like, what platform do you want to order the game on? And Steam was on there. Like it should, you know, you should have access to like, you know, which, but it's at the very bottom. Or it was when I looked at the link. Also, That Boy Ain't Right, welcome back. Thank you for 25 months. Thank you for introducing me to this beautiful game. You are welcome. You're welcome. I did this.
Father.
There now, Alma. Do you want my last memory to be of your tears?
Also, Direwolf Not in Bed, thanks for 28 months. And Kiwi, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Very much appreciated. As Landre, I think I said thank you, but thank you again. And Cash, thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for a year. Zavario, thank you for 6 months. Very much appreciated. Welcome in and enjoy your emotes. Thank you all so much for all the subs. It's hard. I'm trying to keep track of all the Twitch streamer stuff happening, but also the game, and you know, I gotta deliver. Okay, Square Enix trusted me to present this game to you all, and I'll be damned if I don't do a good job of representing this game, because it's the best game. It's the only game that matters. I'm Square Enix's top guy. Yeah,
He should be here at your side.
Zarbag, Dystag, you are dear to me, but Ramza is no less so. Though he be not the issue of the womb that bore you, my sons, still my blood courses through his veins. Watch after him.
Translation, Ramza's a bastard. He doesn't have a noble mother. He just has a noble father.
Lord Father!
You forget yourself, Ramza.
You have come. Good. Let me look upon your face once more.
Lord Father.
How long has it been?
You've got my nose, Ramza.
You've grown into a fine young man. I would hear of your studies. You've been at the academy since spring, is it?
Noses weren't invented yet.
Ramza, for generations, we Beowulfs have stood foremost of those who serve the crown. Ours is the soul of the night. Become a knight worthy of your name. Tolerate no injustice. Stray not from the true path. You will know the path you must walk. A Beowulf can walk no other.
I will not fail you, Father.
Your friend, Delita. He is a good boy. He is low-born, but he can serve you well. I've made arrangements for him to enter the academy. You should have seen the look on the headmaster's face.
Don't know how I feel about having your bed in the middle of the room. It's worth noting that he's bedridden. He's on his deathbed, and I imagine, you know, like, you're not gonna get no sun if your bed is in the corner over there, you know. So I imagine they've just moved him here. This is like his sick room, you know.
In the years ahead, you will need someone whom you can trust. You could do far worse than Delita.
As you say, Father.
Take care of your sister.
I rant and rave about this guy all the time, okay? Yasumi Matsuno. He's the GOAT. Like, if you come away from this stream and you're like, man, I want to play that game, seems great, and you play it and you enjoy it and that's it, fine, fantastic. But if you're like me and you spiral down the Yasumi Matsuno rabbit hole, like, the man is... He's like Kojima, but better at naming characters. He's so good. He's so well researched and in depth, and like everything he's doing is for the purposes of cinema. My man loves movies. There's actually a really funny, it's old, but you can still find it online. Yasumi Matsuno and Hideo Kojima interviewed one another. And during the course of the interview, they talk about how they first met. And they met at like a film festival in Japan where they were playing some movies that maybe typically wouldn't be playing, you know, just whatever in Japan. And they saw each other in line and were like, oh, you know. Ugh, I love the guy. He's the best.
Show these brothers of yours what it is. What it is to be a knight.
Just as an example, Square has asked that I not talk a lot about like endgame stuff, and so I'm not going to. But just as an example, when you play this game, remember this dialogue, okay? Play the game, beat it, and then remember this dialogue. Remember what happened in this dialogue. It's cinema. The main menu. So now we can go into the different menus here. We can look at the units, we can look at our inventory, and we can look at the Chronicles, which is they basically took the like the Final Fantasy 16 what was it called? State of the Realm or something like that. And like you can do that here in Final Fantasy Tactics. It's so cool. I love it. All right, so we have our objective there. Head to Egros Castle to support efforts to eliminate the Corpse Brigade. Also, the map just told us that there are new rumors available, and we can see that it's the 2nd of Aries, which is like that's a month, Aries. I think this is new. Final Fantasy Tactics players, Final Fantasy Tactics enjoyers from the past, tell me if this is new. I don't remember this music. Not this, I remember this. When I click on Garland, it's gonna say, okay, we have a shop, we have a soldier store, and we have a bar that you can visit. And that's always existed. And you pick if you wanna go shop for, equipment and items, or if you wanna go to the bar and read about rumors, or if you wanna go to the soldier store and buy new soldiers. That's there. But this music for it is new. I think, I don't remember it. So you've got the Outfitter where you can buy and sell items, armor, and weapons. The Tavern where you can learn about gossip and rumors. Later on in the game, the Tavern also becomes a place where you can send units that maybe you're not using for battles. You can send them to like go do jobs, and it'll be like, hey, my son sucks at math. Can you please teach him math? And so you select some units, you select how long you want them to take to do the job, and they'll leave your party temporarily to go do that job. And then they'll come back. You have to physically come back to this spot on the map. You have to go back to the bar and pick up your units. And when you pick them up, they'll give you the rundown on how the job went. And it's like, yeah, this kid is an idiot and he didn't know math. Thankfully, you sent a mathematician job class, and so we taught that kid really well. His parents were so pleased with how good we taught him math. And as a result, they gave us a bonus on top of the money they were supposed to pay us. We got a piece of treasure. Or like, you can send them to explore a sunken ship, or like an old ruin from like a forgotten city, and they'll go explore that stuff. And the job classes that you send and the amount of time that you give them to do the job determines how successful you are at it. And I don't, in the original game, I haven't got to do it yet. In the original game, there was no hint outside of just like, it's a math lesson, right? Send the math person. Or, we're gonna send you out into the woods. Maybe send a geomancer to that. Somebody who can manipulate land. You know, maybe send somebody like that. But yeah, you just kind of have to use like common sense and just be like, okay, would it make sense to send a knight and an archer on this job, or would it make more sense to maybe send a chemist on this job? You know, would it make more sense to send a monk on this job? Things like that. It's so cool. And when they come back, they'll get job points, as well as payment for doing the job. And if you did a good job, you can unlock treasure. And the treasure gets like its own lore page, and like you can go in and you can read about the lore, and it'll tell you about the lore of Ivalice. And yeah, it's sick. Yeah, I don't know, in the original Final Fantasy Tactics, if you did a good job, when you came back, your characters would say, "This is the way!" And me and my homie used to say that all the time. That was, if you got a promotion at work or something, "This is the way!" Were Otter, thanks for 8 months, welcome back. And then the Warriors Guild is where you go if you want to buy new units. When you buy new units, they can only be,
Greetings. In need of a soldier for hire? What sort of recruit are you looking for?
They can only be, I think they can be squires or chemists. Like, they won't be like, you know, you're not gonna unlock a damn, samurai or anything. But you can check and see, like, do they have good brave and good faith? That's important. And you can check and you can see their zodiac sign. And so you can pick a zodiac sign. Like, let's say you know that you're gonna need a white mage, right? And you want your white mage casting heal spells. And if the white mage's zodiac sign is compatible with your Ramza, those heal spells are gonna heal you for more. They're gonna be better. And so, like, you know, you would make sure that your zodiac symbol was compatible. And if you're ever curious about the zodiac symbol stuff, you can go into the menus and you can see like which zodiac signs are compatible with, you know, which other zodiac signs. But let's say that like nobody shows up that you want, you can leave.
Let me know if you need all else.
And you know, you can come back and it'll replace those units with new units. And so like, let's say nobody has a, you know, very good brave or faith. You can, you know, leave and come back and it'll restock, and maybe you'll find somebody who's actually, you know, worth using. This is also a place that allows you to rename your characters. And so if you want to, you know, name your characters after your buddies, you can absolutely do that here.
Is there all your patron?
So when you come to the tavern, we haven't unlocked the ability to be able to go do jobs yet, but we can come here and we can read about rumors.
Welcome. Make yourself at home. Of course.
The rumors will kind of just tell you, like, we know we're chasing the Corpse Brigade. Well, who is the Corpse Brigade? This will tell you. Who's King on Doria? Because that's the dude that we keep, you know, hearing about. That's the whole basis for this plot point that's going on between everybody. What's the 50 Years' War? Everybody keeps talking about the 50 Years' War. This is where you can learn about that stuff. However, it's important to remember that these are rumors. And so you are not getting them. These narrators are unreliable, okay? You're getting like the propaganda version. This is what I heard, right? Well, where did you hear it from? You heard it from the ruling class. You heard it from the people who told you about it, right? If you want the real truth, if you want what really happened, you have to kind of like,
will that be, thank you,
come out of here and go into your main menu and go
making preparations.
Go to your chronicles. And in your chronicles, as I said, we're playing as the narrator of the prologue of this game as he uncovers who Ramza was, because Ramza has been written out of history, right? So like, this is where we get like factual, actual information about what happened, who did what, and why they did it. And
the records here paint a vivid picture of this tumultuous era.
Ivalice's defeat in the 50 Years' War had left the kingdom in turmoil, with murder and banditry rife in every region. One notorious band of outlaws, the Corpse Brigade, had been terrorizing Galleon, prompting Duke Larg to set the Order of the Northern Sky to eradicating them in operation of a grand scale. As part of the effort, Ramza and his fellow knights apprentice were ordered to Egros Castle, there to bolster its defenses. And we are playing as Ramza, right? And so we are going to get Ramza's opinion on these things as they happen. And that has a lot to do with, you know, how the interpretive lens of like how we come to understand and know this stuff. And as we just saw, Ramza goes to his father's deathbed and his dad is like, always do the right thing. Basically, he's like instilled in him in this world of like politics where everybody plays, you know, a part in order to get where they feel like they need to be in order to gain power and keep power and yada yada. The Beowulfs have always just been these, you know, knights. That's what his father Barbaneth has been. And he's like this high-minded, visionary, you know, do the right thing type of guy. And that is impressed on Ramza there, and that's why that scene is so important. You know, you hanging out with him on his deathbed and him giving Ramza that little spiel is sort of Ramza's formative experience of like, how am I supposed to act? How am I supposed to behave as a man?
Let us speak on this again.
But there's a lot of stuff. You've got stratagems for battles.
With knowledge comes clarity.
We can talk to, what's his name? Daravan? And here we can come and we can see the influence of the Zodiac. Aries shares positive affinity with Leo and Sagittarius. Aries shares negative affinity with Cancer and Capricorn. Aries shares the best affinity with Libra. So, like, since I'm a Leo, I would want to find, if I'm looking for somebody to play White Mage, I'm gonna want somebody who has best affinity with Leo. So I need an Aquarius. That's who I need. I believe Agrius is an Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you can come here and you can look at this stuff. It will also teach you about all the different status effects. If you've played a Final Fantasy game before, you will know all of these status effects. With the exception of like Faith. Faith boosts your faith to 99. It just maxes it out for I think like 4 turns or something. It will max out your faith. There's an interesting aspect to stats in this game. I will get into that in just a moment. Atheist dumps your faith. It becomes like 0 for 4 turns or however long. And then there's a similar status effect for like bravery. There's chicken, which will turn you into a chicken. You have no brave. And then there's one that gives you like max brave. Chicken. You literally turn into a chicken. I love it. If you get turned into a vampire, you no longer have control over the character, and all they do is just wander around sucking blood out of units nearby.
Until next we meet.
So like the atheist status effect, if you could put that on a mage, their spells will suck. They'll be terrible at spell casting for several rounds of the battle. Alternatively, if you cast the opposite spell, which is Faith, on one of your mages, their spells will be boosted for, you know, that amount of turns. All right, and then this is where you're gonna spend the majority of your time when you come to town, and that's the outfitter.
Welcome. Take as long as you need. Or catch your eye.
So when you come here, he sells daggers, which if we press square, we see can be used by squires, chemists, That other one on the far right, I believe that's Thief. The pair of lips talking, I believe that's a mediator. The throwing, the shuriken looking thing, that's ninjas, of course. And that last one, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe, no, it wouldn't be bard or dancer, that would be the harp. I'm not sure what that one is. But yeah, then you have broadswords, and that can be used by squires, knights, and maybe that's a geomancer, that other symbol. Staffs, staves, rods, these can be used for, you know, your mage casts, your mage caster types. It's when you look at these though, look at what special abilities they give you. For example, you might find a bolt staff and it makes your bolt magic do more damage, but also if you just whack somebody in the head with it, there's a chance that it can strike them with lightning. And there's a lot of those, you know, there's poison variants. There's swords that you can hit people with that put them to sleep. You know, there's all kinds of like special abilities and stuff that like these weapons have. And the way it works is as you...
May I come back?
Every store will sell different stuff. So like this is the magic city of Garland. So they'll sell you magic stuff for wizards, right? But Egros Castle might not sell you that. They'll sell you stuff for knights, but they don't know anything about wizards there. So they don't sell you stuff for wizards. And when you start getting into like some later game stuff, they start having even weirder things that you can buy. As you progress the story, each shop's supplies will increase. And so like, he only sells kind of dinky swords right now. But if I come back to this same place later on, he'll sell better stuff. Also, Fear Tindies, welcome back. Thanks for 85 months. All right.
What is it?
So, Rams is our squire, right? He's got this metal ability. We go to job. We can see all, like, he can be a squire, he can be a chemist, and he can be a white mage or a black mage. And if we look at that, it'll give us an idea of what the black mage does, what abilities they can have. We can bring up this to sort of show us where different jobs will lead us. And once you've unlocked these jobs, you know, you have like a clear painting, you have like a clear picture of how to get to them and what they are, etc., etc. There is a way to show you, and I'm trying to remember how the heck you do it. Yeah, here you go. So, in order to become a black mage, you have to have 2 levels of chemist. Now, Ramza doesn't have that, but somebody in the party does. And so now I can know, like, oh, if I want to become a black mage, I need 2 levels of chemist. But this is also where we come to spend our job points. And every one of these abilities are just abilities that we can just use by virtue of the fact that we are, we're a squire. This is our reaction ability. As I stated earlier, if somebody hits me, this is what I'll do if I have this bought and equipped. This is my support ability. You can give squires equip axes. So like they typically can't use axes, but if you give them this, they can use axes. Axes can do a lot of damage, but they can also not do a lot of damage. That's a whole other conversation. This gives them the ability to recruit beasts to the party, where a beast on the battlefild will ally with you. Evasive Stance gives you better chance at parrying and evading attacks. JP Boost, this is a big one. This one's really nice. This one gives you more job points for everything that happens on the battlefield. Everything you do will give you more job points. This is one that I recommend it's good. Especially early game, you especially want that.
Greetings, after all in particular.
Now I can't afford it yet, so we're not gonna get it. We're gonna save our points and we're gonna buy that. You can go into the fitting room, and the fitting room will show you.
You're in safe hands with me.
What you have and what he has. And right now, he has nothing better than what I have. Right?
May I be of further? You're in safe hands with me.
Now, which one of these dudes kind of... One of these dudes had low faith and low brave. This guy. So what we're going to do is...
Oh?
We're going to unequip his stuff.
Certainly.
Yes? Fine.
Francis here, she has good bravery, so we're probably going to be using Francis. So let's replace this dagger with the broadsword. It's going to give her better attack. We're not going to be using Ansel.
What do you need?
We like Elwis. She's got 72 faith. We like her. We found a mithril dagger. Remember that? Let's equip that. That's going to give her an extra 4 attack.
You need me?
She already knows potion. Another important one for you to teach them is Phoenix Down. She already knows that, so we're good there. Let's check on Thomas. What does Thomas know? Thomas doesn't know Phoenix Down, but he doesn't have enough job points to buy it, so we're gonna hold off on that. Here, we'll save. And off we go to the Mandelia plain. Large limestone spires protrude from this plain like the fangs of a great beast. Thank you, Loyo. It's funny, I feel like my voice is shot because I went to a concert last night and I am feeling it.
Understood.
My time to shine.
We shall not lose.
To battle!
Looks like this one's still alive. What do we do with him?
This does kind of paint Final Fantasy XII in a different way for me. Same world and all. The way the license boards makes more sense now. Yeah, like, if you like the world of Ivalice, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like when you go do the jobs for the bar, like I was talking about, when you go do those jobs, keep in mind, Final Fantasy XII takes place in Ivalice before this game. And like, you know, you're not seeing any airships. You're not seeing a lot of, you know, technology in this world. And so like, as you're reading about the lore of Ivalice in Final Fantasy Tactics, you're learning about why that is. The order of the games is Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy Tactics, Vagrant Story. That's the order in which the games happen. I love, I love that stuff. I love reading about it. It rules.
What do you think we do with him?
Right then. Your luck's run out, knave. If ever you had any.
last. One of the Order's patrols.
The Corpse Brigade. And they've a hostage in their midst.
This is a choice. And the choice that I make will determine how this battle is won. If I select our first duty is to defeat the brigade, then all we have to do is defeat the brigade. If I select we must rescue their captive, then the mission becomes save that guy. I cannot let him get knocked unconscious. If he gets knocked unconscious, you know, that'd be bad. Considering our job, the correct answer here in terms of our job is to defeat the brigade. But after that conversation we had with Rams's dad, how can we not strive towards knighthood and rescue the captive?
We must rescue their captive. To do less would be unbecoming of men of the Order.
Me then.
How about we just leave Argith here?
Reinforcements. And none too soon.
You don't like Argith? Oh, look, he seems like a good guy, right? You'll occasionally be joined in battle by special units who act of their own accord and cannot be given instructions. As the main story progresses, these special units may join your party for a time as guests. Furthermore, depending on the condition for victory, allowing a special unit to be KO'd may result in game over.
This isn't funny.
Cutbird
still improve.
It's time.
This is a thing about auto battle, which is a thing that you can set up. If you just need to like grind some points, you can come to a battlefield, you can do a random battle, and you can just set up auto battle and like go cook yourself some food. Go make yourself some bagel bites or pizza bagels or whatever they're called. And the game will play itself basically, you know, to try and get your fellows the win. However, when you select auto battle, it'll ask you like, hey, how do you want us to play? Do you want to attack the enemy? Do you want to protect your allies? Do you want to heal your allies? Do you want to just try and get to safety? Now, it's not typically smart to just like rush into the fray. You know, a lot of times when you do these battles, it's kind of smart to get your guys organized in a formation and let the enemy come to you. But in the case where you have to save somebody, you know, you don't necessarily have, that's not necessarily an option.
You got me.
Oh, you got me.
For victory.
Ready.
Argith, please. Okay. Keep in mind, I don't get to control him, so if he decides to act like a jackass and get himself killed, there's not much I can do about it.
My turn.
This bodes ill.
All right, real quick here, I want to show you something. So it's Rams's turn, and we come over here to this other squire, and we're going to try and hit him. And if we look here, you know, the game gives us the expected outcome, which is a 100% chance to hit. We're going to do 125% damage because of Zodiac compatibility. We're going to do 24 damage. So we did more than 24 damage because we got the critical hit on top of that, I believe. We got the 32 damage. When you get the little screen shake, that's your, oh, you got a crit. Yeah. Crits also have other, like, you know, if you might hit somebody and it might move them back a few tiles. It might physically move them from the tile that they're standing on. Things like that can happen.
Now is the time.
We're gonna put her right here so that nobody can get to Argith's back. But she can't throw a rock through Argith, right? So she doesn't really get to do anything this turn.
Ready.
Hey!
Well, find indeed.
She found a bottle of eye drops. Let's go. Argith is out of range. It looks like, right? And that's why it's important that you can do this. It's also what makes this such a great addition to Final Fantasy Tactics. Now that you can do this, you can just like, oh yeah, clearly he's right outside of that range.
Ready and able.
It'll be over in a flash.
I love her voice.
I even amazed myself.
Even the monsters have trash talk, which is hilarious. But monsters can also level up and everything. And you can recruit monsters into your party so that you can have like a party with monsters in it if you want. And they have different abilities and things that they learn. Also, when a monster is in your party, it might lay an egg and create a better version of its monster type. So for example, if you've ever played Final Fantasy VII, you probably know about breeding, chocobos. So like if you have a yellow chocobo in your party, it might lay an egg and give you a black or a red chocobo, which is pretty sick. This jerk. I can't throw a potion at Argith because I can't move forward because he's blocking me here.
To new heights.
All right, now that was my action, so I still can't throw a potion, but I can at least move over here now, so that like at some point I can get a potion to Argith. Oh, also, if you look at the rogue here, the thief, he's in a defensive stance right now, which gives him like that's an ability that he has unlocked, where he can basically take that stance and become harder to hit.
Victory is mine.
95% chance to hit.
I'm not ready to die.
It's time.
Oh, I said I would bring this up, so I'll go ahead and bring it up now. Ramza, we look over here, he's got 70 Brave and 70 Faith. And as we talked earlier, there are abilities that will increase your bravery and your faith. There are abilities that will also increase your speed and once the battle is over, you know, you sort of get reset back to your natural stats. They get put back to where they were. However, for every 4 points that you increase or decrease a character's stats, for every 4 points, one of those points is permanent. So, if we did a thing that increased Ramza's bravery by 3, if we used an ability and it gave Ramza 3 brave, if we used it twice, that's 6 brave, right? He would gain 1 point permanently to his brave. It would permanently increase. And if we did it 3 times, that's 9 points. That's 8, right? We had to go from 8 to 9, right? Every 4 points. So that would be 2 points of permanent bravery increased. And it's the same with speed and things like that. Anytime you anytime you use an ability that like gives someone an ability, like every 4 points, one of those is permanent. And that's how you get your characters to have like, you know, you've got a mage, you want them to have like really high faith. So you use abilities that increase their faith over and over and over again in a battle. Maybe beat every enemy except one, leave one enemy alive, and then you can sit there and you can like keep preaching faith to that character to raise their faith. But you have to be careful because if you raise their faith to like 98 or 97, might even be 96, somewhere around there, they start being like, I don't know if I'm meant to be here. I think I'm meant to go find God. And after a certain point, they will leave your party and you cannot get them back because they went on they go on a mission to locate God. Alternatively, if their bravery gets too low, they'll desert your party. They'll flee. They're terrified and they don't want to fight no more, and so they just leave. Exale, welcome back. Thank you for 16 months. Very much appreciated.
The fruit of my labors.
Another thing, and I'm not a big fan of this tactic, but people do it because it works. Leave one enemy alive and then just sit there and beat the crap out of your own party members with your own party members. And you can grind and farm job points and experience that way. That's another way that you can now I'm not above drawing a fight out in order to get the experience points and the job points. I'm not above that, okay? But I typically don't like to make my units hit each other. That just seems kind of like, you know, like what are we doing? But there are other things you can do, you know, you can give them buffs. You know, there are buffs that you like. Squire has the tailwind ability and things like that. So like you can just sit around and draw a fight out and just buff and use abilities and heal and use items and whatever else you want to do to make each fight worth as much, you know, job points or experience points as you want it to be. Also, Clear Tone, welcome back, and thank you very much for sticking around. Oh,
this at this rate.
Oh, that hurts. Rams is hurt, chat. Get him, Francis. Come on, Delita. Oh, Delita's gonna use a potion on our chemist.
Are you
You
alright?
have my thanks.
Nice.
Where to, then?
Oh no, Ramza! Oh no, this will kill him!
This'll hurt.
Oh, it didn't! It didn't do enough damage. We survived.
For victory.
Come on, Baderich. Knock him out.
Oh, you're kidding.
All right, we gotta save Ramza, chat.
I'm in your debt.
So a standard potion is worth 30. I think a high potion's worth 70, and I think an X potion is worth like 150. Is that right?
My turn.
Be careful, Argith. Don't get knocked out.
My turn.
Okay, the thief is up next. So I should probably try and take him out. The panther doesn't get a turn until like 5 turns from now. So the panther we can take out.
Gotta turn this around.
This should work.
Now or never.
Dim Blossom, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. I hope you had a fun stream. We are playing some Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles, which just came out. Square Enix was nice enough to hook me up with a sponsored stream for a game I was literally gonna play anyway. This is my favorite game ever. But yeah, now I get to show the game off and do the professional streamer thing. And that rules. Hope you had a really fun stream. Dead Cell, Dim Blossom, welcome in. Welcome back. Thank you for 31 months. Oh, what do you think, chat? Yeah, Delita should be able to take out the Panther, hopefully. Or should I make sure? Because I don't have control over Delita. He'll just do whatever he wants to do, you know? Let me take care of the Panther because it's the one that's closest to Argith. And if Argith goes, we lose. Oh, you evaded it! Oh no!
Leave it to me.
Delita, don't let me down! Please! He's going for a rush because it has a 100% chance to hit. There we go. Nice.
No substitute for experience.
I ain't done yet. Ready for anything? Damn you.
My power grows.
Oh, I forgot to buy potions, chat. Oh my god! That's bad. Ugh, not good, not good. It's fine, it's fine. We've won. That was, see, that's on me for forgetting to buy potions. You guys asked, oh, do they, do you just have them? You have to buy them.
Victory
and I forgot to buy them. Just throw a rock, man. There you go. He's got 1 hit point. Yeah, this is over. We win.
It's over.
Nice.
Are you all right?
Delita is a homie. Delita is the best homie. I have from Final Fantasy Tactics, the original, before the game got like its proper translation / localization. In the original Final Fantasy Tactics game, Delita's last words in the game, I have tattooed on my my arm with a bouquet of roses and a dagger.
I'll be fine.
I love Delita. He's my
It is
guy.
for the Marquis's safety, I fear.
The Marquis? The Marquis Elmdor de Limbri was here.
The very same. And to whom do I owe my gratitude?
We are Knights Apprentice from the Academy at Garreland. We may be able to help you. But first, I would hear more.
Yeah, Ravendell, I would really like to see Capcom do something with that franchise. That would be great. For sure, because that was another one that when I was growing up, like that was, you know, it wasn't as big as Final Fantasy, but it was pretty big. You know, it had a following even here in, you know, in the West.
My name is Argath, a knight in His Excellency the Marquis Elmdor de Limbre's household.
A knight, you say?
Well, truth be told, I am a knight apprentice like you.
Now, this is why that is a perfect example of like what you get when you have like a well-directed voice cast for this game. Because when you play the game and you're a kid or whatever and you just read those words, he says, "I'm a knight," and Delita says, "A knight, you say." Here, we actually, Delita knows he's not a knight. There's no way he's a knight. He's as young as we are. So Delita's like, "Oh, a knight? You're a knight." And Argath is a little, you know, "Oh, okay, well, truth be told, I'm a knight apprentice," you know? That sort of stuff, that those little subtle differences are what I love so much about the voice. You don't have to try and interpolate this stuff yourself. You can hear it in their acting. It's great.
A fellow knight in training, then. I am Ramza Beowulf, and this is Delita Hyrule, my trusted friend.
Keep in mind, the idea of being a knight in this world, to these people, to these characters, being a knight is everything, right? And so to introduce yourself as a knight and not be one, right off the bat, gives us a little bit of a look at what kind of person Argath is.
Beowulf? You're not of the Beowulfs of the Order of the Northern Sky, are you? What fantastic luck! A blessing in the midst of disaster.
What?
The Order can help me rescue the Marquis. It must.
The Marquis is held captive.
The Corpse Brigade captured him, yes, but he still lives. We must act quickly. Should he be killed, I will lose everything. You simply must help me, please! I beg you!
Calm yourself. Who's to say your Marquis is to be killed anyway? The Corpse Brigade would not take a man alive save there were value in keeping him so. Of that, you can be sure.
There's little we alone can do against their main host in any case.
I love Delita so much. Like, no one is going to take this guy seriously because he's lowborn. He's not noble, right? And Argath is over here pitching a fit because his Marquis has been kidnapped. And that's who he was supposed to be protecting. And Argath is like, "They'll kill him," you know? And Delita's like, "Why on earth would they do that? It doesn't make sense to take him just to kill him. Obviously, they'll keep him alive because that's where the value is at in having him. That's why you would bother with doing this in the first place. That's why you would take him." He's Machiavellian is Delita.
If the Marquis has been taken hostage, Egros will be in an uproar. You can be sure of that, too.
Then before all else, we will report into Egros. Are we agreed?
Agreed. We'll start there.
Delita's playing 5D chess and Argath's answers lol broke. Yeah.
Lead the way.
Strife Dragon, welcome back. Thank you very much for 2 years. Very much appreciated. Oh no! My internet service provider has picked the literal worst time on the worst day to be a jerk to me. Let me lower my stream settings a little bit. And see if I can at least stop dropping the frames as violently as it is doing right now. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, it worked momentarily, but it is not working full time. Did you get the collector's box with all the doodads and trinkets? I did. It hasn't showed up yet, but I did order it. Allegedly, it should be here today. But I don't, it's not in my possession yet, but I did in fact get the collector's edition. Yeah, so the pinned comment in chat is a link to order the game, and when you click on that link, it's an affiliate link, which like they track, you know, where did you come from? Where did this process, you know, where did you come from to get here to this website to order our game? And it basically keeps track of like, oh, you came from Saint Riot's stream. Neat unboxing stream, surely. We can do an unboxing stream for the collector's edition stuff. Absolutely. It comes with a ton of stuff. It's got like a map and some Chocobo plushies and some, I think it comes with like the Ramza action figure thing. This is literally the only game I have ever ordered a collector's edition for is Final Fantasy Tactics. Man, I really need my internet to stop being so bad. But it is just all over the place. And of course it is. When I'm doing a sponsored stream, incredible. Let me take this opportunity to take a small break and go fill my coffee, and I will be right back. All right. Thank you for your patience, chat. I've lowered my stream settings so that I'm not dropping frames. And if we're sitting here and we're looking at this still image, it won't be too bad. Oh, Dim Blossom, that might just be like a Twitch thing. You might have to refresh this. Twitch does a thing where like it warps audio, like in-game audio. I don't know how it's not, like, that's been a bug on Twitch forever, but if you reload, it should clear it up for you. Unless you're just talking about the composition of the song, in which case, yes, also that. No, Miguel. So in Final Fantasy Tactics, what you have that's sort of like a similar class is you have mediators and you have oracles. And both of those classes have abilities that turn your opponent's units against them, so that you can like recruit them. They'll join you and they'll leave, they'll leave their party and join yours. You can, for example, early on in the game, the thief class, they can steal money, they can steal helmets, they can steal weapons, they can steal shields, armor, stuff like that. They can also steal hearts. And what that does is it allows them to charm a unit. And for like 3 turns, that unit will work to help you for 3 turns. Oracles and mediators sort of get the forever version of that. Oracles have the ability to turn enemy units into zombies and vampires. So you can turn enemy units into zombies and vampires. And then I guess if you wanted to, you could recruit, like you could recruit them and then turn them into zombies and vampires and just throw them out there on the battlefield if you wanted to. But I don't know how, I don't know how much luck you would have. In random battles, it would probably be okay. Because vampires can't die, I don't think. If they get knocked unconscious, they just get back up after a few turns. Also, I apologize for the wait. Eincyber redeemed Ask the Dungeon Master. My voice is shot. I went to a concert last night, so my voice, don't expect my best voice work here, okay? Oh, Dungeon Master, tell me, if the penalty for a crime is a fine, does that mean that that law only exists for the lower class? Yes! This game has zombies and vampires? It does have zombies and vampires. Yeah. It's a, it's a fantasy game. It's got all that good stuff. I'm so here for zombies and vampires. Yeah. There is a Twitch channel that I think it's on 24 hours a day, and it just streams Final Fantasy Tactics monster fights. And you can like go there and you can, with Twitch points, you can bet on which team is gonna win. I'm scrolling up here to try and answer some of y'all's questions in regards to Final Fantasy Tactics, if you have any questions about them. I'm trying to see if I've missed anything. Also, some of you are absolute Final Fantasy Tactics encyclopedias, and so if anything I've said is off. Comcast out here hate watching. Yeah, Comcast hates to see me do a sponsored stream, apparently. If I buy it physically, can I still play with my save file on my digital copy on the Switch too? I am not sure how that works. I would think, yeah, but I don't know enough about the Switch's hardware to be able to answer that, I don't think. I like how chat is over here trying to wingman me for a sponsored stream. That's hilarious. They stopped putting save data on cartridges in the Switch era. Well, there you go. Hopefully that answers that. Save data is stored on the Switch and not the cart. I have a question. What is the deal with axes and flails? Okay. I don't know how it works in this version of the game because I haven't done it all the way yet. But earlier we were talking about how squires have the ability to, they have a job ability that they can learn called equip axes. And it allows the squire to equip axes as its weapon, which is not something that it can typically do. When you learn that ability, you can equip it on any job class. And so any job class can now wield axes if you would like them to be able to do that. As an example, knights also have a similar ability called equip swords, where if you learn that ability and equip it on the character, they could play as a wizard and use a knight's sword, regardless of, not typically being able to use that. Samurais get katana. Dragoons or lancers, whatever they are called, they get that ability with spears, etc. Okay, axes and flails. Some job classes have the ability to use axes and flails, or you can just give them that ability. Axes and flails, and also purses, if I'm not mistaken. Those weapons, damage is, it is a real dice roll. They can do a lot of damage, more damage than anything else. But it's sort of dependent on luck because they can also do way less damage. You might equip an axe. You go to the shop and you've got a class that is able to wield axes. And the shop is like, hey, this is what we think is best for you is this axe. This is what will give you the maximum amount of damage. But what they don't tell you is that you're not guaranteed to get that damage. You may get way less damage than that. Just depends. Every swing will do a different amount of damage with axes and flails, as well as the purses, if I'm not mistaken. I think the purses also have that. The bags that certain classes can wield. Certain classes have the ability to equip bags, and they basically just like smack you in the head with a bag. Axes and flails have a literal RNG in the damage formula. BR+2/RNG. Does Ninja Throw calculate damage off the max damage value though? I don't know. That's a good question. I was always so scared to just be throwing stuff all willy-nilly with my ninjas because like you have to buy that stuff, Like that's an extra thing that you have to spend your money on. After a certain point, you've got enough money where you can probably afford that. But for example, samurais, when samurais use an ability with a katana, that katana may break. And so now you have to buy that katana again, right? And katanas can be expensive. What build do you plan on using for Ramza this playthrough? I think I'm probably gonna do Geomancer. The last time I played Final Fantasy Tactics, I kind of fell in love with Geomancers. So I might run like a Geomancer Ramza. Are there grenades or bombs for ninjas to throw? Yes. There's, and you can do like different, you can buy different damage types. So there's like fire bombs, ice bombs, and maybe another one. I want to say it's bolt, but that, I don't, is that right? Would Bard Ramza or Orator Ramza be decent? Yeah. Ramza, you can make do whatever you want Ramza to do. And a lot of Ramza's Squire abilities are unique to Ramza. Like his ability to buff your speed and his ability to increase brave and stuff like that. Those are unique to Ramza. And those go really well with like, you know, Orator or Mediator or Dancer for sure. Can Ramza pay my bills? No, he's broke. Ramza's broke. My standard Ramza path used to be knight to monk wearing armor, but maybe I should do something different this time. Monk is really good. It's really hard not to just go monk. Monks can do a lot of damage. The secondary abilities that you give them and the passive abilities that you give them and the fact that they can get chakra, which heals everyone around them and gives them all mana back, gives them all MP, so that you essentially have like, you've got a monk in front of a wizard protecting the wizard. The wizard can cast crazy spells and then the monk can just give the wizard their MP back. Monk is a really, really good class. I don't know, like, you know, people have like tier lists for all the different jobs and stuff. I don't know where, I can tell you what's good and like what's you know, I don't know where Monk sits on a tier list, but I know it's high. Monk is good. Geomancer, so he's gonna lob a stone of Garank. Ramza Squires can just throw rocks. That's just an ability that they have. They can just throw stone. Which is why in my Elden Ring, all my Ramza characters all have Garank's, you know, Bestial Sling or Throw Stone or whatever. Geomancers have like really cool abilities where it's like, is your opponent standing on the battlefield? Is he standing on vines? You can make those vines come to life. Are they standing on water? You can make that water try and drown him. Are you standing on a windy plain? Like, depending on what biome you are in, you'll have abilities that you can use, and then depending on what you know, like ground you are on and what ground your opponent is on. Like if you're in a place with stone, like you can do things, and like you can try and make them become a part of the stone. Like you can try and petrify your opponent and turn them into a rock. It's, yeah, Geomancer. I never played with Geomancer like as a youngin', but like my last Final Fantasy Tactics playthrough, I was like, let's try out Geomancer because they can equip swords and I like that. So let's equip swords on a Geomancer. Let's make Ramza a Geomancer. It'll give him access to you know, physical damage, his bravery, his high bravery will come in handy, but also his high faith will come in handy because of, you know, the magic abilities that Geomancers have. And I loved it. I was like, why did I never play with this? It rules. Did I hear there's a dancer class? There is a dancer class. Dancers are kind of like calculators, which is a type of wizard. The dancers essentially do a dance, and you tell them on their turn, it's like, do this dance. And so they sit there and they just dance. That's all they do. When it comes back to their turn, if they're still dancing, some spell effect will happen. It will buff your entire party, or it will debuff the enemies. They're really neat. Dancers are really cool. And their little dancing animation is also sick. Do jobs or equipments change a character's appearance? Yes, to both. You know, the weapons appearances are all kind of, you know, like, they're just little pixels that come out when you do stuff. But some weapons are noticeably different, especially the later game knight swords, like the really cool, you know, like Excalibur, God Save the Queen, Defender. Like those all have like a very obvious, like, wow, yeah, that looks different. Your job class will make the characters, like they just like, if you make your character a ninja, he's dressed like a ninja. If you make him a samurai, he's dressed like a samurai. Ramza, however, is always Ramza. Ramza will always look like Ramza. Delita will always look like Delita, you know? NPC characters like that, like they don't change. They are who they are. But if you go to the soldier store and you buy a character and you make them a wizard, they'll look like a wizard, you know? What's your go-to Ramza build? My go-to Ramza build, when I was young and I wanted to beat the game, and I was trying to, like, you know, I was like, I'm gonna beat this game. I'm gonna be as good as I can be at it. My go-to Ramza build was go to ninja and learn dual wield, and then have the, like, you can do this several different ways, but like Ramza, dual wield, and then like the knight swords, like Excalibur and Defender. And so you're like, you know, whap, whap. Every turn, you're hitting twice with like super OP swords. And then a little trick, I liked to keep a sleep sword in my offhand so that it was like, boom, big damage, and then boom, slightly less damage, but probably put the opponent to sleep, and now they can't do anything. And when you do that, now your thief has a better chance of stealing from, you know, so like if you're trying to steal some gear off of a real big NPC boss battle, that's a pain. It's hard. But if you put the enemy to sleep, you have a higher chance of stealing their stuff. So Geomancer is sort of a druid, mainly controls nature and stuff. Yeah, but of all the magic classes, the Geomancer is the one that gets to maintain like sort of like that fighter status. They get to use like actual swords. They don't have to use staves and things like that. So you don't have to blow, like if you were a Geomancer, you could take the knight ability, equip armor, and you could put that on the Geomancer, and now you have a caster who gets to wear full heavy armor and have, you know, a bunch of hit points, and you can actually take this wizard or this mage class and you can throw it in the fray. It doesn't have to like hang out in the back and hope it doesn't get hit. Hope some archer doesn't shoot him from like, you know, 10 tiles away or whatever. I never played with Geomancers until kind of recently, and I was like, why was I sleeping on this? It rules. Yeah, that's the other thing about Geomancer, is Geomancer doesn't have any cast time, so you just get to do it. This is another thing that I wanted to show off, okay? So this right here, Mandelia Plain, this place only exists. Like, there's no city here. Like, this is a city. This is a city. This is the land you have to cross to get from that city to that city. In the base game of Final Fantasy Tactics, if you walked back and forth here, there was a chance that you would come across a random battle here. That still happens, but now, if a random battle pops up, you can say flee, and you'll just flee, right? So you can just, if you need to walk a long distance, you don't have to worry about the random battle. You don't have to do it. However, if you just want to do a random battle, you can just come here and select it and say, I want to do a random battle. And so this is how you farm your job points. And this is how you farm experience points and stuff like that, is, you know, walking back and forth. But you don't have to walk back and forth anymore. Now you can just go to the place and just select that you want to have a fight. And that's a nice change. That's a good update. This is another one that I really like. And it is, you can go to your characters that you have, and you can set them as favorites. So like Anselm here, his stats suck. I am not going to be using Anselm, but Eloise, I like her. So I can press start and I can set her as one of my favorites. And this menu shows up when you are setting your units. So when you go into a battle and it's like, which units do you want to use? It'll show you the ones that you have favorited. That way you don't have to try and remember all their names all the time. Baderich, I like her. She's good. We're gonna set her as a favorite. We're gonna move her up here too. Francis, also good. We like her. We're gonna move Francis up here. These guys are kind of whatever. I wouldn't say Thomas is a favorite, but if I have a spot open, Thomas is probably gonna take that spot. The other thing you can do now,
yes,
is you can go to the person and you can converse with them.
Something about this war sticks in one's throat. I have taken up with the right side, I hope.
What? Heading into battle again? There's never any rest for the weary.
That includes your guest units. You can also talk to them.
Need something? Should you be injured, Ramza, speak up, and I shall say a chant to heal you.
Yes? I may only be a knight apprentice, but I'm not to be underestimated. As I shall prove, we men of Limbri are cut above the rest.
Little additions like that, I love them so much. I love little additions like that so much. That it does a lot for an RPG style game, that you can like just come chop it up with your units. You know, you can just come chop it up with the soldiers. And also the guest characters, and you can kind of get like a little bit of a glimpse into the character, like a little deeper than, you know. I went for JP boost as my first ability on Ramza. Hopefully that was smart. That is indeed. That is indeed smart. I'm saving up for it myself. It makes everything else much easier to get to. Oh, and if you pre-ordered the game, this is where you can get your bonus items from, if you want to use those. If you get the deluxe edition, this is where you can get those from. So your pre-order bonus is a mithril knife, spiked boots, 10 high potions, 10 bottles of ether, and white equipment for Ramza. And then if you got the deluxe edition, you can have like, these weapons are like, they're good starter weapons, but they're not like probably halfway through chapter 1, you'll have found better stuff. Except for the Ring of Aptitude, which is, I think, I haven't used it because it feels a little OP, but you get more job points. But I don't think it stacks with gained JP up. It says that it won't stack with other things. I haven't tried it. I haven't even equipped it because I'm like, that seems like it might be OP. So now,
yes?
We can change Ramza's equipment color.
All right then. This will do. Interesting.
Yeah, we got some drip. We got some Ramza drip. Seems weird to have both random battles and a choice. There will be times where, like, you have to do a fight there in the story and stuff like that. A lot of the times, if it's your first time going there, you'll have to fight. But after that, it's sort of like, you know, it's up to you. Do you want to do it or do you not? On the one hand, it makes traversing the map easier, and you might argue maybe it makes it too easy. I don't know if Tactician, changes that at all. But on the other hand, it's so much easier to so much of this game is like getting the job points and getting the experience. And I don't want to have to walk across the map 5 times in order to trigger a random battle. Being able to just go there and say like, give me a fight, that's worth it to me. Is there exploration or is it mostly battle to battle? So the story takes place and it's just, you're going from one place to another as you're like unlocking and doing this stuff. There is some like optional stuff that you can do through exploring. A lot of it is unlocked by going to the bar in those cities and checking on the rumors. And a lot of times, you'll go there, you'll read a rumor. The rumors will change as things happen in the game. Occasionally, you'll read a rumor and it will change something on your map. And it's basically like saying, hey, go investigate this. You heard a rumor about this, go check it out. And that's the little bit of exploration. That's where that comes in. Is you keeping up with like the random current events that are going on by checking out what's happening at the bar. There's they have asked that I not talk about a lot of late game stuff because they don't want like, a lot of spoilers or whatever. So I will just say that towards the end of the game, there is an optional dungeon that you can unlock that runs on different rules, and it's a lot of fun. It's also a great place to get, if you've got some units and you're like, I want to get these dudes decked out, I want to make sure these dudes are wearing the best possible stuff, that's the place to do it at. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna bump up my bit rate and see if my internet is compatible. All right, so far so good. Bump it up again. Okay, good stuff. All right, right, so let's save.
Making preparations.
As I said, saving is important. Always be saving. I'm gonna overwrite my save data. You will notice that the game defaults to create new save data. Let's do that instead. I don't think it's as big a deal anymore. But back when Final Fantasy Tactics came out, you had to save your data on a memory card for the PlayStation 1. And every memory card only had so much data, right? It wasn't a lot. And so you would overwrite your save data. And there is a point in the game where that would come back to bite you squarely on the ass. I don't think it's as big a deal now. I think the way games save now and everything, probably less of an issue. But it's always good to have 2 save files. I'll say that. That's always, you know, regardless of anything else, it's nice to have 2 different save files.
I hear you were decorated for your first victory, Ramza. They sing your praise from on high. You do honor to our name, my brother, and to me.
I am glad.
Oh? You would not seem it.
I am. Forgive me. Your words do me far more honor than I have done you. No doubt word has already reached you, but the Marquis de Limbury's carriage was waylaid, and the Marquis taken. What have you in mind to do?
I have already asked Zalbarg to dispatch a squad in pursuit. These brigands must eventually come forth to demand ransom. That is, assuming the Marquis yet lives.
I beg of you, Count Beowulf. Lend me 100 men that I might hunt the Horsens down. Please, my lord. Grant me the means to avenge my fallen friends.
Mayhap your ears fail you. I said that a squad is to be dispatched. You are not a man of Galleon. Leave her affairs to those of us who are.
But, my lord...
Do not assume to beg favors of me. Let me remind you, Argath, lest you forget your place. You are but another sword, not yet even knighted. The 2 of you will remain here at Egros and serve among the castle guard. You needn't worry. Danger is not like to visit these walls.
My own house was once respected as highly as House Beowulf, you know?
So Argath is feeling down in the dumps now because he asked our older brother, like, hey, give me some men and I'll go save the Marquis of Limbury. And Ben Starr was like, what? No. Who are you? Do not talk to me.
At least, until my grandfather was captured during the war, after his fortress was overrun. In hopes of saving his own hide, he divulged intelligence about our forces. Positions, numbers, supply routes, whatever it took, he rendered up to the enemy. He turned traitor, thinking to buy his freedom with the lives of his friends. But his freedom scarce outlived his honor. He was not a dozen paces out of the gate when the dagger found his back, killed by some common squire, no more a knight than I. One of his supposed comrades spread word of his misdeeds. My Lord Father would have none of it, of course. But he was the only one.
So Argath here is like the perfect foil to Ramza, where Ramza's like kind of, you know, the bastard offspring of a really noble knight. Argath is, you know, the full offspring of a knight who turned traitor and sold out everybody under his command in order to save his own skin. And as a result, the Argith household is like, you know, nobody takes them seriously. Like, nobody cares about them no more. And so obviously Argith's entire like plot point here is like his entire character is just based around the idea of like, I've got to get my family back. We've got to like, we have to restore honor to our name, basically. And that's why he's always so gung-ho to like, I'm a knight. No, you're not. You're a knight in training. You know, oh, give me those guys. I'll go save him. No, you won't. You're nobody. You sit here.
Our bannerman deserted us. Our reputation ruined. I suppose I had best remember my place. Your lord brother has no reason to lend ear to pleas from the likes of me.
Having said that, he also works really well with Delita, who is lowborn. And Argith, I think, sort of sees Delita as like, you know, he sees him as lowborn, and he sort of overcompensates his own family's nobility because he knows that it's not like it's nothing. It doesn't. He was just born into this, and he was born into a family of like, you know, traitorous losers. And so the fact that he tries to be so pompous over a lowborn character like Delita is, you know, he's overcompensating for that.
Delita! Delita!
Tidra!
Alma! Zalbog!
Ramza, you've come home!
It has been some time, hasn't it, Zalbog?
I heard about Garland. They say you made short work of those brigands. Now you've truly the right to call yourself a Beowulf. Father would be proud.
Thank you, Lord Brother.
You certainly haven't changed. Gods forbid you show a bit of cheer on being praised. And you, Delita, do not think word of your deeds escapes our ears. Your sister's been so full of pride I quite fear she might burst.
Worry not, my seams have held. Glad to see you looking so well, Delita.
And are you? Have you settled in at school?
Yes, the others have all been quite kind to me.
Would that we could speak at greater leisure, but there are duties that require my attendance. Rogues do not catch themselves.
So Ramza's dad was, you know, like, he's noble, but he was really chill. Ramza's mother was a commoner. The fact that Ramza's best friend, Delita, is also like a lowborn commoner. Like, he still gets to, like, he and his sister are essentially taken care of by the Beowulfs. Ramza's dad even went to lengths to have Delita be able to enroll in the Knight Academy so that he could become a knight, despite the fact that he was not, like, noble at all. But he pulled some strings to make it happen. So here we have Ramza, Ramza's sister, and Ramza's brother. And then in the purple dress, you have Delita's sister, Delita, and Argith, of course. This bit of dialogue, like, this is the exact sort of thing that, like, as a kid, I didn't catch this. I didn't understand what was happening. And then I play it as an adult, and I'm like, oh, Zalbog is basically, like, setting us up here. Like, not in a bad way, but because you're just, you know, back then I was just reading the words, right? So it was something that I would have had to have taken, like, you know, reading comprehension and media literacy. It's something that I didn't have those things when I was a kid to understand what was happening in this scene. But, like, as I got older, I had it. And now that there's voice acting, like, if, you know, like, if I were playing this game as a kid, I would understand what's happening here, I think. I was a pretty dumb kid.
I understand. Good luck.
Oh, We received a note of ransom from the Corpse Brigade.
What?
Something about it sits unwell with me. They are anarchists, to be sure, bent on bringing down the aristocracy. But they fancy themselves righteous, and prey only on the nobility and those in our employ. Indeed, when they took hostages in the past, they demanded only in exchange for their captured brethren. Would such as they truly kidnap the Marquis for want of coin?
So obviously Zalbog, he's not a big fan of the Corpse Brigade, but he's saying here that like anytime that they've had captives, they would just exchange those captives for their own men. Like we would capture their men, they would capture our men, and they would say, hey, we've got some of your men, you've got some of ours, let's trade. We'll give you your guys back, you give us our guys back. And now he's like, but for some reason now they're asking for money. That doesn't sit right with me. That's not how they behave. They're anarchists, but they're high-minded. Like they're trying to bring down the aristocracy. Like they're not just in it for money. So this is unusual for the Corpse Brigade. This is not something that they would typically do.
Why wouldn't they? They're naught but common footpads. What would they know of honor?
One of the men I dispatched to watch them has not returned. I suspect he learned something of import and was caught for it. However, there are those who do not think some mere spy worth a search party's efforts.
So, this is obviously Zalbog referring to his older brother Dystarg. And he's saying, I had a spy who was looking after those guys, but he hasn't reported back to me in a while. I imagine he got caught. But I'm not allowed to go get him. I'm not allowed to go look for my spy.
Where was he last known to be?
In Dorta, a merchant city east of Galleon. Guarding a castle grows dreadfully dull. Wouldn't you agree?
That. When I was a kid, I didn't understand that. Essentially, Zalbog is setting you up here. You've come to this castle, your family's home, and you report on what you've done. We took out some of the Corpse Brigade. Yeah, we're knights in training. We're doing it. And Zalbog's like, yeah, I had a spy. He went missing. I'm not allowed to go look for him. Say you're guarding the castle, huh? That's boring. That's boring, I think.
Forgive us, Titra. It seems we must be leaving sooner than we had planned.
Don't worry about me. Just take care of yourself.
I will. Mind your studies. I'll be back before you've even noticed I'm gone. Let's be on our way.
Titra puts on a brave face, but the truth is not as honeyed as her words.
What do you mean?
She has a hard time of it at school. The others tease her for being lowborn. Forgive me. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sure you have worries enough of your own. Titra will be all right. I'm here to look after her.
Then there is naught to worry about. But mind your own limits. You can't be responsible for everything.
Says the brother who never fails to do any and all that is expected of him. Unless you forget, I'm no less a Beowulf than you. It'll take more than a few mean-spirited school peers to get the better of me. But please, don't lose sight of yourself, Ramza. You needn't let your life be ruled by the fact you were born a Beowulf.
Now you're starting to sound like Mother.
Ramza.
All right, chat. Square Enix, thank you very much for sponsoring this stream. I am going to obviously continue playing Final Fantasy Tactics. We're going to do a playthrough. I want to point out, anytime I play one of these games on stream, I like to, I get my units and I name them after people in chat. And it's basically like you guys can sit there and root for yourselves and hope you don't die as I'm as I'm doing this stuff. We're gonna do that at some point, but my first playthrough of this game, I'm gonna be using a lot of the main characters, because this game adds a lot of extra dialogue and events for those characters that I've never seen before. So like using Agrias and Mustadio and, the other ones. The Thunder God Cid. That will get you some stuff that you've not seen before, I don't think. Probably not. I know I haven't. So my first playthrough, we're gonna be doing that. And those NPCs are strong. They've got great stats. They have special job classes that you can't get elsewhere. They make the game much easier than if you were to just do it using, just the generic units that you can buy from the store or whatever. But yeah, I want to see all that stuff. I'm excited to see what all plays out there. If I'm not mistaken, there was like an entire like Mustadio has a crush on Agrias, and there's an entire little storyline for that. But if it's anything like Tactics Ogre was, it would require you to take those two into certain battles together and do stuff. So I'll have to play with those characters. I'll have to use those characters, at every opportunity. But after that, I am for sure going to do a playthrough where we name all the characters after chat, and yeah, that'll be fun too. But this was this sponsored stream was to be a 3-hour stream, and we are now at the 3-hour mark. These next few missions, this is where the game gets really good. This is where the plot sort of starts to unravel, and you start to pick up the pieces of what's going on in this game, in the world, and with the politics that are happening and all these different characters and all of their different motivations and what sort of drives them and why they are doing what they're doing. All of that picks up around here as you start to, you get to Dorter and you start to meet these other characters like Weegriff and, it's really, really good. But this is a good place to leave off. If you've never played Final Fantasy Tactics before, I don't want to show you much more. I would, especially if you've purchased this and it's going to be your first time playing it, log off, get to, these battles right after this, the merchant city of Dorter, and yeah, this is where the game just absolutely. We have our characters now. We know who they are. Now we're going to start seeing what they do and why they tick. So this is a really good place for us to leave it off. I will be back today. I will be back later today. I'm going to stream again, but it won't be a sponsored stream. It's just going to be me playing Final Fantasy Tactics. But I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for being here and hanging out. And also thank you guys so much. Also Drogo, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. Very much appreciated. Chat, thank you all so much for just checking out Final Fantasy Tactics with me. Again, it's available for Switch, Switch 2, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and it's on Steam, and it's playable on Steam Deck. It's out today. It's out now. And it's one of my favorite games ever. So I am beyond excited that they chose me to do a sponsored stream for this, because I love this game. I will absolutely tell you to buy this game. If you have hung out on my streams, I rarely do sponsored segments. I've done 3 over the entire 10-year period of me streaming. I think I've done 3 sponsored segments. And I don't do them unless it's something I'm actually interested in. And I love this game, so I am beyond happy that they asked me to do it. It rules. Saint said buy Final Fantasy Tactics or else. That's right. Oh, I will be back in just a little bit with some more Final Fantasy Tactics. Thank you all very much for being here and hanging out. I appreciate y'all. Please check the game out. And thank you again to Square Enix. I will see you guys. I'm going to grab some food, and I will be back after I eat.